All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the TI University 201 session. Today we're going to talk about these items as they appear in order here. It should take about an hour, but nonetheless, these are items that we feel are probably important to help the learning curve of this great product. So let's get started. We're going to start with what I feel is important to know about our tools and options menu up here. Just changing the chart there real quick. All right, tools and options. Right here on the main toolbar, we've got a few tabs we can go through, but on the general tab, for the most part, the items of interest are enable idea surfing. I've got that unchecked. That's where the charts might start flipping on you every 8 seconds going through your scans. If you don't like that, like me, you can uncheck there. Show extra chart drawings. Well, I do have that one enabled, and that's for people who maybe don't want all that extra stuff in their charts that we draw for them. You can turn that off by unchecking that. Everything else is probably pretty much straightforward. Good font size here. 8 point is the default size for our fonts. Move here into connections. And under connections, we've got something, everybody's defaulted to our server farm, which is what makes Trade Ideas unique. It's all done on the server side, which was kind of ahead of its time back in 2003 when we created it. But primary server is our main server bank. You also have an option of HTTPS mode, and you can select that if you are behind a firewall. Maybe you've downloaded a version of this at work, and you would like to go log in while you're at work, but you can't because the IT guy has throttled certain things. Well, you might be able to circumvent that IT guy by going to one of the secure HTTPS modes. So that could be of interest to you. The next one in layouts, this is important. You've probably noticed by now that Trade Ideas is a free floating window. There we go, layouts. Free floating windows, it's not one big container. And I've got this box here checked open relative to main window. Let's demonstrate that. Open relative to main window is the main window right here. And we can do some features that allow us to migrate the windows easily. If I wanted to move from screen 1 and take my layout and have my layout open up on screen monitor number 2, I could move it over to that monitor. And while I'm over there, I would resave the layout as my default layout and whatnot. By doing that, the next time we open the program, all the windows will follow this window and open up on the new screen, kind of like a queen bee and all the bees following. Likewise, if we minimize the toolbar, the main window, all the windows will fall down. If we want to restore them, we simply locate the main toolbar, main window, and it pulls all the windows, free-floating windows, back up along with it. All right, back to the tools menu to demonstrate that. That was our layouts demonstration. Good idea to have that checked. Time options. We probably have at least one user in every time zone around the globe. So if you're looking for how to sync up your local time, just leave it defaulted. It really should just stay local time. And if you select local time, it will sync up to your local machine, which is a good thing. So beyond that, there's not much you really need to do. Just select local time and let the machine work for you. Not much to do on social networks. Upgrade button is there, but here's where we're going to come back to. We'll circle back to this, but we have our AI module that we're going to talk about today, which is a nice alert function for people who don't want to program anything and they'd like to let our AI kind of modify strategies and show us in real time things that are happening for a possible idea. Well, we can quantify those trades down here. We'll get to that in a minute. But this is a setting in which it's important to realize because it also blends nicely with our brokerage plus and paper trading and auto trading type of settings when we send an alert. There's 3 ways to send alerts or create share size in this case. We can assign a dollar value to each trade. We can assign a share value to each trade, but that's not really advisable. There's expensive stocks and smaller stocks. You'll lose a lot in there. This is the one that most people use. It's risk based on stop loss. So everybody in their own mind has their own personal point of pain, a monetary level at which they don't want to be in the trade anymore. And so we could put that level in here. I've got a value of $100. So when I have a value of $100 and click OK, all of these values you see over here in trade ideas for profit and loss and share sizes, they're all predicated off of that. I don't want to lose more than $100 if a stop is hit. And there it is, a stop hit this morning on an AI trade, and look, it perfectly equates to $100. So I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We will come back to that topic, but that is a great setting in tools and options for you to view this AI tool in something that's more manageable. If you've got $1 million account or a $10,000 account, you can make it kind of fit your custom settings. All right, so that's enough with the settings, tools, and options. We're going to move now to symbol list. We actually have two ways in which we can create a watch list or a symbol list. I'm going to show you the first way right now, and this is the older version. And we can assign any one of these alerts that we have towards a symbol list. And the way in which you build that is back on the Tools menu and Symbol List. This is our main menu here of folders of different, so I got a lot of them in here, a lot of demonstrations. But what you would do to create a new symbol list, step number one would be create new list. Pretty intuitive. And let's call it what we got today is January 12th. Sorry, 28th. January 28th is going to be our new folder. We'll click OK. And it's empty. So let's click into empty. And there's no symbols. We can start adding symbols by typing and entering. And Apple earnings coming up. Everybody likes that one. So I've got 4 symbols in there now. And that's set. That folder is set with 4. Now I can add more symbols on the fly. I just can't delete them from this list. I have to come back here to delete them. But to add something on the fly, maybe I'm liking this YETI Yeti at the top of my scan. I can right click. I can say send Yeti to the symbol lists. And believe it or not, we're in here somewhere, January 28th. All right, so I just sent that symbol list Yeti, and now we've got 5 in our folder called January 28th. That's the first step. The second step is to assign that folder to any of our scans or alerts. And I've done that here in this particular T window. This scan is called a top list. When I go to configure, we have many tabs, and we're going to talk deeply about this in a minute. But notice we have a symbol list tab. Okay, so every scan is going to have a configure menu that has a symbol list tab that allows you to tie it all together. And as you can see, I'm currently enabling ETF as the folder. Those are all those ETFs you see in this window. We could go find that additional folder, the January 28th, and even add those if we want. So we would scroll down. And where would it be? There it is, Jan 28. Now we have that folder, and we can turn those symbols on as well or turn them back off. So this is how you can tie a symbol list into a scan or a alert window. Really ties down the noise and only lets you focus on the things you want to focus on. And so that's a symbol list. Again, I'm going to show you another way, but when you want to associate a scan towards a certain list, you're going to be limited to doing it that way. All right, let's take a look at the next topic. I think we're going to build a top list together. Yes, we're going to build a top list. So in Trade Ideas University 101, you learned about alert windows. Alert windows happen in real time. They have the A in the corner here, and they give us a timestamp and a price stamp so we can see exactly what's going on in real time. T windows are a bit more slow. It's this one right here. It has a T. There's no event, so there's no timestamp because this is a scan that's going to essentially refresh every 30 seconds. It'll get a new fresh data dump. And any filters that are in there that are not satisfied will not allow a certain stock to show up. So let's create one from scratch, and we'll just kind of talk out loud, something that maybe a swing trader might look for. Maybe something pulling back nicely. And there's many ways we can do that, but I'm just going to highlight a few simple ways. And we're going to go to New Top List. New Top List. And there we are with our main configure window. These are the basic starting points. And let's go in there and just shore those up for a moment. We'll take our price and make that a minimum 500. We'll take our 5-day moving average and make that a minimum 250,000 shares. But now we're going to want to dial in what we're looking for. And let's say we're looking for stocks that have pulled back 2 days coming into today. But however, today are positive. Probably going to see a lot of those today. But they're positive with the price action sitting right at or not too far above, definitely not below the 20-day simple moving average. So let's work on those filters. The first thing is consecutive days. So we're trying to find 2 down days in a row. So we'll grab consecutive days and add that filter. I think we already have change from the close, which we need to show today is positive. What we're still needing is our 20-day simple moving average. So I'll just do 20 SMA. And there it is, change from the 20 SMA daily in percent. Let's add that filter. All right, so the first thing we wanted to do was say we want the stock to be down 2 days in a row coming into today. So we'll use the consecutive days filter, and I'll just show you how you can work through this. If we put 2 in the minimum, you hit this button to check what it means, and the server says, okay, you want to see stocks that are up at least 2 days in a row. Nope, we wanted them down 2 days in a row. So that told us that was not the right way. We want to put a -2 in the maximum, kind of like a number line, and we're going to suppress everything to the right of -2, but it tells us what we want. Stock was down at least 2 days in a row. So that gives us the 2 down days coming into today. That filter is going to weed out a lot, or it might be a lot with today's market action. We'll see. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of stuff today. Let's do the change from close. As we said, we want the price to be a green today, not a red price change from close, but green. So we'll do a minimum 0.01%, and we are good to go there. Nothing will show up that is red today. And lastly, we want the price to be hovering at or near, but not below, the 20-day moving average. So not below means 0. If we click that, it would say the price is above the 20 SMA, but it could be anywhere above the 20 SMA. Let's cap it at, say, 0.1%. Since we're going to have a lot of returns, maybe we can even do 0.05. I'll do 0.1 because that's what I normally do. So anywhere from at the moving average 0 to no more than 0.1% above the 20-day SMA. This is our complete filter set here. So we can hide the unused and kind of organize all this and see this is what we're scanning for. Down 2 days, positive today, and resting on the 20 simple moving average. We'll move along here. Exchanges, nothing to touch there really. Oh, all symbols. We're not using a symbol list. We're not going to be using any of these lists. So we can right click and remove those and just say scan the whole market. We're looking at about 8,000 stocks with these exchanges tagged the way they are. Columns, we can do a little cleanup here. We can get rid of this duplicate because we've already got that in percent. And I might want to have a column visible so I can monitor how far above it is on the 20-day moving average. So we'll put that column in the active window. And lastly, we'll give it a name. In our summary window, we'll call it down 2 days. And resting on the 20. That's going to be our title, and here it comes. Yeah, that's a pretty decent size. I didn't think we'd have that few, but let's take a look and see what we find. Down 2 days, and then today it's resting above that red line on the 20. Down 2 days, resting at that red line on the 20. So we're kind of really determining what we want to see. Not every chart's going to be perfect, but the idea of a top list is to find swing trade ideas that might be ready. And I'm going to show you how to tie it all together with a top list, taking a list of ideas. And if there's something we like that just popped in here, this thing's starting to move, I'm going to show you how we can tie it all together and get an alert so we don't miss a certain price trigger. So again, this is the T window. It's better for slower pace trading, swing trading. It gives you a batch of ideas, and there's no event needed, no new high, no new low. It's just the filters. As long as the filters are being satisfied, that symbol will stay on here for 5 minutes. Excuse me. We'll stay on here for 30 seconds until the next refresh comes. And if a symbol is no longer satisfying a filter, you can see something just happened there. Something may have dropped off, something may have popped back up. And lastly, the reason we call it a top list is we can sort like a spreadsheet. It looks like these are colorized from change from the close. So this one's going to be up the most today. This one's going to be actually barely up on the day down here at the bottom. So we can double click and search for other things. I'm going to talk about relative volume in a minute and why that's important. But here is your top list window and how to create one from scratch. Just go to the new window and start from the configure and search. If you're looking for something that we have, we'll have it. Bollinger Bands, we might have that. Standard deviation, we might have that. If you're looking for something more specific like Ichimoku Cloud, we do not have that. It's blank. So that search tab can give you a good filter of what we do have available and what we do not have available. All right, so moving on, I'm going to close that window that we just made. And let's see what is the next topic. M window, the multi-strategy window. So much like the alert window that you learned about in 101, we have the multi-strategy, which means you can put more than one event or more than one alert into a window. And let me bring one up and demonstrate how we manipulate or navigate through that. Extreme High-Low Pro, okay? This is one that's also available to you. It's a simple pre-created, a pre-configured scan. If you go on their channel bar down to what's called channel 4 here, on channel 4, we have created a template of a lot of pre-configured ideas, and you can go to that channel, and when you click on it, you will see this scan right here. And what you do is you just go save to cloud, and you'll have a working copy of it in your cloud that you can bring down at any time and look at. But for now, we are looking at the M window, and let's take a look at some of the differences here. In right click, there's no configure menu. We have to start at this main parent menu, strategies, because there's multi-strategies. This first one is in dark green. Okay, I saw that in there, and it's enabled with a check. Okay, we've got ones going down to new lows in yellow, and that's enabled with a check. We've got this one that's not enabled with a check, so it's not active, but if it was, it would be coming through in lime green. And then, of course, from here, we can build a brand new strategy, start with whatever we want, high, low, new this, new that. But the idea is we can have a simple window with just a basic color code. All right, there's only 2 active at the moment, but you'll see that these are stocks that were going to lows at one time this morning. And make sure this is on real time. I believe it is. Yep. And stocks that were going to highs in the morning or any time of day. It just happens to have, you need to have the right type of volume to satisfy what you're looking for. All right, so that seems to be it for the day. Let's look at a couple things here. I want to show people who might be interested in momentum scans. If you're a momentum day trader and you're using trade ideas to find stocks that are in momentum, making new highs, and you expect them to continue to go higher, these are a couple of the filters that the Extreme Volume High-Low Pro uses to help momentum traders. All right, the first one, let's take a look at these ideas here. Change from the close, this one's already up 1%, so pretty good head start. Now, relative volume is what I want to talk about. It's one of the more important filters that we use at Trade Ideas. Essentially, it's looking at a database of over 8,000 stocks, and each stock has its own database, and we can look back and see, all right, we'll make an example of XYZ stock, and we can ask ourselves, it's 9 or 12:23 Eastern, what amount of volume, or what's the pace, or what's the run rate of the volume shares traded for XYZ here at 12:24 Eastern? Well, we can assign a value to that using relative volume and having the database that we have. Any stock that has 1.0 relative volume means it's doing the exact normal pace of volume that we see in our database for that stock going back many weeks. So a stock doing 2.0 is doing 2 times the relative volume. And in this case, mine is set to 3. So if I was to change this to 2, I would loosen it up a few and probably get a few more trades coming through here, a few more different symbols, because I've loosened up the volume filters from 3 times normal to 2 times normal based on the time of day. So one of the things you want to do as a momentum trader, and if you want to have less noise in your symbols coming through, is have a high relative volume value. And I use 2, you could even use a 3, or you could even use 2.5, somewhere in the middle. But this assures us that we're not going to see stocks just doing anemic normal volume. We want to see stocks that have something happening, whether it's news or who knows. The point is, the higher the relative volume, sometimes the better the price action we can help gauge. Another good feature of a momentum type of setting would be these here, the 1-minute volume and the 5-minute volume. It gives us the same type of reading. We can look at a 5-minute candle and say, what's a normal 5-minute candle for stock XYZ? Well, 100% would be a normal candle. Anything under 100% means that candle's kind of asleep. But at 500%, we're doing 5 times a normal 5-minute candle volume. And that's a very important thing to know. And I don't think there's, in fact, I know there's no other trade platforms out there that do that. A lot of times people ask us, what's the power of trade ideas that I can't get at FinViz or Thinkorswim? Well, they don't monitor stocks in real time and give you a return on what that stock is doing compared to what that stock normally does in our giant database, because they don't have that giant database. But that's a little bit behind the scenes. So multi-strategy window available for people who want to have a lot of events coming at them quickly with different color codes meaning different things. All right. I believe our next topic here is going to be in the AI Holly. So there's a few things we can talk about here. Primarily, you'll notice that our channel bar has some concepts in 3 different segments. What I want to do for this segment is I want to really focus on the AI Neo because this is our currently newest version and it's focused on what we just talked about, relative volume. Up here on the right, I'm showing you this stock has a 10 times relative volume. That is a pretty big value. Coming soon, the 2.0 channel is going to be a swing trading channel. For the moment, it is not, so we're not going to focus on that. And I'm not going to focus on Holly 1.0 either because this one is also going through an overhaul. But in the future, Holly 1.0 will be much similar to Neo. Now I've isolated just the Neo platform, and here's how you can do that. You can click on just the Neo channel, or in your own layout, you can come to New Alert window. I'm sorry, AI Holly, right there. And then that will launch this. And the first thing you would do is segment it. You right click, and I'm just segmenting not all of them, but Holly Neo. I'll talk about why we're doing this in a minute. And then from the parent window, we can right click and say view all trades. And that gives us this window down here. You just need to segment it again, as I did, to Holly Neo. So Neo, again, is a box of 4 strategies. And we have 2 longs and 2 shorts. 2 momentum trades and 2 pullback trades, or bounce trades, if you will, trying to fade the opposite direction. But the thing that makes Neo different and unique about all the others is the fact that, again, it's only hunting for high relative volume trades. Let's go ahead and highlight my relative volume box up here and go through a couple, and we'll see. 25 to 1 volume, 4 times normal volume, 10 times, almost 2.5 times, 371 times. So you're not going to see anything in this Holly Neo that's doing normal anemic volume 1.0. And that's really the big quantum movement improvement that's been made here for that. So we're only going to focus on Neo for the purposes of this webinar and video. And we're going to identify a few things to kind of call our attention. First off, let's go ahead and click into a trade. All right, so this is pullback long, meaning it was not buying the momentum break, it was buying a midday pullback. Okay, here's our entry arrow. Here's our entry line, the blue line. Here's our stop line in red. And notice that we had a little bit of wishy-washiness down here, but the price has since moved back above the blue entry line. It has pulled back once and it has bounced nicely off this moving average line that I use, which is a 10-period moving average. And the trade is in play, okay? It's in place, so to speak, because let me highlight something. Notice the coloration is darker and then it goes to a very light grade. Well, that's a quick cue to our eye that the AI exited this trade. And let's take a look at why. So CIT was exited because what we call a profit save, okay? So this brings up some good points. Well, it just moved down here. It just moved on me because this one just moved into the lead. Profit save is like a trailing stop. So what happened is when the color exited, looks like right about there, we had a trailing stop to try and lock in profits on CIT. So the locked in profits, let's take a look here. And again, remember, I'm using a setting of $100 maximum risk per trade. So in the CIT trade, it bought 120 shares. And it looks like what we had was a $100.80 profit. And this is called conservative profit, all right? Big point here. Conservative profit means what did the AI exit after its own entry? Once the AI has an entry and an exit, we can have a calculated profit that is set in stone. In this case, for me, it showed $100.80. However, we still have this column known as moderate profit. And moderate profit is adjusting as we speak. And it's currently up $123.60. So it's outperforming the AI just a little bit. So we're measuring our P&L on AI every day in 2 forms. In conservative profit, meaning what's the total of all these trades where the AI got out, and we're calculating the out profit. And what is the moderate profit, meaning these are probably going to stay open all day until 10 minutes towards the close, and they're going to continue to adjust in P&L and give us a valid P&L. Let's take a look at how we can express those. Over here, we have a histogram. Okay, conservative profit, if you had taken every entry and every exit in and out, doing exactly what the AI did, it would be $168 up based on, remember, our $100 maximum risk, which gives us these share sizes. But we can also look and click this and go to moderate profit. Well, look at here. This is interesting because this isn't the usual. Conservative profit was more than moderate profit. What this is saying is, for the moment, staying in the neo trades longer than after the AI got out has some diminishing returns. But I want to tell you guys something. In my experience, this is short-lived. Usually by the end of the day, come back and check today and see if the moderate profit has not kicked back into gear and outperformed the morning session. Because that's what we see a lot here at the Trade Ideas. Sometimes the moderate profit might even start in the red, but by the end of the day, it really kind of kicks into gear. So let's talk about that. We have what we call a time stop. These are in Pacific time, so 3:45 and 3:50 East Coast respectively. These strategies are essentially in play until we reach these times. But along the way, we may have something like a stop hit or a profit save, or we have a couple others, a target hit. We'd love to see those all day long. We also have time stop, which we just talked about. And the last thing we have, which we don't have an example of yet, is called reduced risk. And sometimes the AI will exit a trade and put the calculation in the conservative profit and lock it in stone for a reason only other than the price moved up, then back, red, then green, and didn't really do much. And the AI determined this is not the price action that we were looking for. Let's just flat the trade, fish or cut bait, get off, move on to the next one. The AI is known to do that. So there's literally 5 exit reasons that you will see in the exit reason. You'll see stop hit or target hit. You'll see reduced risk. You'll see profit save, which is that trailing stop. And then at the end of the day, you will probably most likely see time stop. And all those together will equate to our conservative profit value. And again, for the moment, it looks like conservative is beating moderate, but I think by the end of the day, moderate's going to catch up because it usually does. And so there's some different ideas and some concepts to look at when using the AI visually, is what I mean to say. This chart gives us a lot of information. The directional arrow is up. If we want to look at a short, let's take a look at this one. This BWA. Again, it was not a momentum short, meaning it didn't fire out of the gate. It gave us a little bit of time intraday. Right here, this was 45 minutes, 60 minutes after the open, we got a down arrow signaling a short trade. And look at that, for 30 minutes, the price action stayed right around the entry and then started to bleed lower. And so this moderate profit on a short trade will continue to bleed lower if the price action, does what it's supposed to do for a short trade. So moderate profit's already kind of trying to come back a little bit. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the day. But for the most part, that is the AI. It's a great way for people to fall back on something that they don't want to learn how to program. I've showed you a few things earlier how to program, but as I mentioned, this only looks, the AI Neo only looks for where the action is based on high relative volume. So if you're a brand new trader, I would be focusing on what is AI Neo offering. Focus on these stocks, and I'd start to monitor why did the AI get out, or which ones are working, and maybe get a feel for maybe they do start to work better towards the end of the day. And let's think about that. These are high volume, relative volume strategies. They're not going to die out middle of the day. They're going to keep on trying to do what they want to do towards the end of the day. That's the idea, and that's what we have basically been witnessing with the 3 months or so. And anybody that comes in and wants to use the AI, we're dovetailing into the next section of history here, but you can run a history and you can come in and I'll show you how to do that and drop into a spreadsheet. You can get even more information on what you're looking for in the AI. All right, so let's move on here. AI Holly, custom channel. We'll come back to history in a moment. And I'll show you how you can manipulate the data in the AI and get your own glimpse at the last 3 months or so of AI. Notice we have these channel bars. We have made these channels for easy layouts for people to grab things and use them, but some people said, hey, why can't I make my own? I like to switch between a swing trading layout and a day trading layout, and thought that's a great idea. Let's do it. So these 2 top ones up here, for instance, the dog, is a layout that's very similar to the one I was just using, but how can we create what we want as a simple layout and make it a template up there in the channel bar? Well, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to set this up the way I want. Let me put the chart that I want on there. And step 1 is to save to the cloud. So we're going to go File, Save to the cloud. And it's very important that we save and share to the cloud. Here's the big secret right here, entire layout. All of a sudden, it's all enabled. Every window I have up or minimized is now selected. And I need to save and share because we're going to share with the toolbar. And there we go. We're going to copy that code right there. That's step one. Step two is to come over here to this channel bar gear wheel and edit our channels. And to create a new one, you would add a channel, and then you would paste what we just copied from that full layout save function on the cloud. Then you choose whatever image you want or upload your own image. It's up to you, but it needs to be a small image or cropped pretty small. And then once you click OK and you're all set, you just click apply, which I'm not going to do because I've already got that channel. All right, and so now we can see that channel is in fact on and we're using this layout. That's how you create a custom layout for yourself using the channel bar. So now let's go back quickly to the history. As promised, we can take the strategy trades of NEO as well as our scans and our alerts, and we can run histories on them, and it comes in real handy when you're trying to look for things. So right click and you'll see the history option right there. And we can come here and go to time frame, and this is kind of the window you want to get familiar with. Starts with today and moves backwards. Let's just say 30 days. What does 30 days of NEO, NEO trades look like? We'll click OK, and here they come. And guess what? You can sort them however you want, like a spreadsheet, long or short, sort them by conservative profit, moderate profit. But you can see we've got some data. And as I mentioned, you can come in and highlight with your mouse, make it all gray. What you got to do is click Control C to copy. And then when you go to your favorite spreadsheet program, click Control V to paste it all in there. And then you can start to manipulate and look at some cool stuff for those that like to do that. So the history is available for the AI windows. History is available for our A window. You just go right here. You have some options. You have quick buttons for yesterday or the day before, but again, time frame. Easiest way to do it is go from now. And let's say I want to see this one with the way it looked all the way back to January 21st, starting at 9 a.m. You can see it's loading, and here comes the returns. The data is going to start to pour in, and you'll get a time and a date stamp on all of those. We go history back to real time, and there we are. Which brings me to a good point. If you have a lot of data in here, when you come back to real time, you only get the last one showing. So what I'll do is I'll use that multi-strategy window as an example. We've already used it already. You can duplicate a window, and then you can run the history off the duplicate window, and that way you don't affect the data that's been marinating in the window since the opening bell if you don't like that. But we can do the same thing here with the multi-strategy timeframes, whatnot. Where it gets a little different in the history function is the top list window. Remember, these T windows, they only update once every 30 seconds. And so to run a history, we need to right click, go to time frame. Live during market hours or live always is good because this gives you pre-market. That's a good habit to get into. And then we have the historical menu. So the historical menu on a top list works like this. You basically have 5-minute snapshots. I'm going to look at yesterday's close, which is 12:55 p.m. in California yesterday. And let's see what this window looked like yesterday. We'll click OK, and everything just kind of changed over. This is what it was looking like for a 5-minute time frame yesterday. So we'll go back to real time. And that's pretty much it for the history. Tomorrow, Andy's going to show you how to start using back testing. So you can look at history and try and work things out, but the back testing tool is going to be pretty cool using our history feature. So let's press on here. Next topic of interest, we did history. We're going to do the heart feature, which is the second, as promised, second way to monitor a list of symbols or a watch list. So back to the channel bar. If you scroll down a bit, they have this big heart image that says stocks I like. Now, if I click into that, it's going to take me to a template that has this page on there. And it'll look just like that. From the template, right-click and throw it into your cloud. Right-click, save to cloud, and save. All you have to do is do that one time, and then load it from your cloud into your layout here. Save your layout, and you're good to go. And that's all that I really did. If I could grab this now. There we go. And what's nice about this is just it's a short-term list. It's the things that I'm finding interesting at the moment. And if I want to add or delete one, I'm going to delete pins. I'm going to come up here and notice my chart has a big colored heart. I can turn the color off. I don't want to see pins anymore. Let's say I want to keep tabs on Tesla. I can look at Tesla's chart and I can click on that heart. And the next time this T window, again, every 30 seconds, as we talked about, next time this chart refreshes, all the charts that I have clicked the heart symbol on will show up in this list. And of course, we can double click and sort and add whatever columns we want to, but I've just got it set to change from close. And these are all the lists, all the symbols of interest that I have right now. I can quickly kind of walk down, save from typing, and look at some of the things I want to look at. And that's really the easiest way to run. Now, the only thing is if you want to run a scan that has the symbol list, this doesn't have the scan capability for new highs, new lows, or events. If you wanted to use an A window or an M window with an event for real-time notification, you would have to use the symbol list, the first option that we talked about. And that way you can tie it together into your configuration. All right. Next topic, price alerts. As promised, I told you there's a nice way to tie in these T windows. So if I've got my list of ideas that we're looking at, and a lot of stocks are looking interesting, some of them might not be ready, some of them might be a chase, but this one I just stopped on, FATE. This has recovered very well, and it looks like it wants to go back near highs. Well, if I don't want to miss out on this, I can come in here and say, I'll use my daily chart. I can right click just above that high, which looks like to be 83 cents, right click, and there it is. This is what you want to do to tie the T window together. Create an alert. It was at 87. 86 was the prior high, so it looks like I pegged it right at a penny above. I'm going to leave it there. Notes are very important. You can tell yourself, your future self, what your current self is thinking and why you have marked this up. So I'll click save, and now we have a blue line on the chart indicating that a price alert on both time frames here is looming just above head. And if the price moves up and prints that 87, what's going to happen? I'm going to be alerted in real time with a splash screen like so, and a line through that image. I'll read my notes, and it will change from working to triggered. All right, it's working right now. It's a current working alert, but then when it triggers, we can start to track the P&L. For instance, this one TRIL, no position, but this was triggered way back here, and it's up 48% since then. So this is a wonderful way in which you can not miss out, fear of missing out on some of these top lists, as we just look at this slow, quiet scan that's not really doing much. And I said quiet because this T window itself is quiet, but I'm going to show you how we can also turn on some audible alerts. But this price alert feature is invaluable, especially when you tie it together with our top list to make sure that we don't miss an event that we're watching, because all these things are eventful stocks, but some of them, again, might need some more time to correct or consolidate. Maybe we use the price alert as a pullback at a level that we find interesting. But nonetheless, we can do that. Right-click inside the alert and create price alert. Set your level, your direction, and your notes. And a perfect segue as to why you're never going to miss a price alert. Let's bring it back up. Price alert. Right-click. And notice we have this menu here called Actions. This is our audible sounds. We want to hear a sound when this thing pops up. I could be across the room refreshing my coffee, and if I don't see or hear a silent, price alert, did it really happen? Well, I'm going to make sure I hear it. So Actions, play sound, and I have this one set text to speech. So if I hear a computer-generated voice read off a symbol across the room, I usually come back pretty quick. I want to see what it is, because more than likely it could be something that I have waited to trigger. And the reason I like these price alerts so much is it's a concept of trading. Just call it set it and forget it. You're not chasing your tail looking for the next trade, trying to make something happen. You're waiting for your pitch. You're setting it and you're forgetting it. And when it pops up, that's the time to remind you, hey, we have a decision to make here. Audible alerts, we can do that in our price alerts. Can we do audible alerts in our AI? Yes, we can. There's our actions menu, and I'm doing the same thing in our AI. I'm playing the sound as a text-to-speech sound setup. So again, important. I want to know if the AI says something, and I want to know if price alerts are telling me something. Now, I also have an A window over here. You can alert these as well. We have to go to properties first, but there it is, actions. And in this one, I'm not using text-to-speech. I've got some different Windows stuff. So you can start to differentiate different windows with different sounds if you want. But I know if the price alert reads off text-to-speech, it's something serious that I want to know about. T window, properties, no actions. There's really no way to have a audible alert on your T window. That's why I showed you how to create a price alert, and then in our price alerts, go to that action menu and make sure your audible sounds are selected so you don't miss those. So that's the workaround there for getting an audible alert using a T window when something does happen that you do want to know about. All right, moving on. Single stock window is the fourth window you can launch, but it's not an alert. It's just a data point. And notice I've got a lot of stuff on here. So when you launch a new single stock window, it's pretty basic, but you can start to configure yours the way you want. I've got a lot of my volume stuff over here. I've got a lot of my float stuff. Every single one has the volume, relative volume, whether you program it or not. I've got my 5-minute volumes. I like those. I've got my fundamental stuff over here. That's interesting. So that's how I have arranged mine. And for you, you can come in and start to build yours by simply right-clicking to configure. And if you see it in here, you want it. Do you want to know where the Bollinger Bands are? You can grab that and say show column. And then you can determine what column you want that Bollinger Band to be, the left or the right, or near the top, near the bottom. So you can kind of orient those things. Anything on here that we have in configure, you can put on there. Anything we have in here, you can make a data point for. And why is that important? Because a lot of times when you can't find a reason as to why your symbol didn't show up on a scan that you thought would show up, more than likely it's going to be something, let's find an example here. Here's a good one. Perfect. So ARMP, the AI caught ARMP today, armpit. And look, it's doing crazy volume, 392 times normal. And there might be a lot of traders in chat rooms today talking about ARMP, and you might wonder why your own scan that you created did not find ARMP. And I can quickly tell you, it's this right here. It's the average daily volume. This thing normally does 22,000 shares a day, and that's just not enough for putting in people's wheelhouse to watch and monitor. So that stock is really nothing until today, until the AI brought it to our attention. So what my point is here, the single stock window is how I determine why ARMP did not show up on my scan, because maybe my scan is set for only minimum 100,000 average shares per day, and this didn't even come close. So you can use this single stock window to cross-reference a lot of things as to why something did or did not trigger. I like to look at that value as well. I like to look at the relative volume, and I like to look at the 5-minute volume in real time. Short float and float can be interesting as well. There's a lot of information you can put on your single stock window. And now we have some new items. We now have news. So we're pulling news directly live from the Google Finance site. We can see everything populating in here that's related to CIT today. Our profile shows us the business summary. And for those that like the really deep dive of insiders and things like that, there's more data points you can play with here on these tabs. So a lot of good information packed into a simple, small, single stock window. Now, before we get to the end here, tying it all together. You know, the A window and the M window, those are going to be windows where we have an event, a new high and a new low. Things are happening. You want to know about it with a price stamp and a time stamp in real time. These are things that day traders, momentum traders are going to be using. The swing traders, however, are more likely to be using the T window and finding a list of ideas that are good, but might not all be working at the same time. And remember, we will tie it all together by creating price alerts to tell us when something on the T window is happening. Single stock window, good for cross-referencing. the M window, to go back to that for a moment. Let's say you're using trade ideas on the road and you have a few of these A windows like I have. I could combine all three of these strategies into one M window and just give them a different color, and thus I'm kind of saving space on real estate to be used. So effectually, if that's even a word, we have come to the end of our 201 webinar. I want to remind people that info at trade-ideas.com is the best place to send any of your questions related, whether it's accounting, technical support, scam related, and somebody will help you. So we'll be back in the next episode of 301 with some more intermediate cool stuff to talk about, and we will see you then.